Have you ever thought that a common habit might ruin your life without even realizing it? Modern science agrees that this kind of behavior is normal, even healthy, seen in some animal species. But what if this video has more to it? We will examine the fascinating history of how societal perceptions of masturbation have evolved over time, transitioning from perceiving them as immoral. Disease is now generally believed to have occurred in your brain. Today, we'll look into the science behind what happened. This act revealed a secret trap that could be more harmful to your health than you might have imagined. But that's not all. On top of that, we'll look at the timeless wisdom of Stoic thinkers like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus. If you want to break free from harmful habits, their lessons on self-control and personal freedom might just be the key. If you've ever felt like your urges controlled you, or wondered how sure you were about something, it can hold you back from reaching your full potential. You should watch this video until the end if you want to change the way you act. Find out how knowing about both current science and ancient philosophy can help you take charge of your mind. This will enhance your life satisfaction. Don't pass up this opportunity to transform your perspective and potentially even your life. Let's dive into life. If you haven't already, I suggest you join. To avoid missing movies, turn on the notification bell. It means a lot to me. And if you enjoyed this video, please support me by clicking the like button. Today's science clearly recognizes that masturbation is a normal, healthy activity. Dogs and many other animals have also clearly adopted this new way of thinking. Previously, people viewed such personal acts as shameful and oppressive. This is a big change from those times. For a long time, masturbation was seen as highly immoral, especially for men who were accused of wasting their vital life force without thinking, which was seen as a mistake that could not be forgiven and was thought to threaten the very society, is making it harder for women to have children and carry on the family name. Even worse, it was considered a sign of rebellion for a woman to pursue pleasure on her own terms, act that could make her no longer need men, which would make a society that is desperately trying to be male-dominated afraid. The idea of women enjoying their sexuality without the assistance of men was not only scandalous, but also people perceived it as a direct threat to the established social order. This heavy moral burden was further compounded by hostration, was wrongly blamed for a scary list of claimed physical effects. Terrible illnesses and disabilities, ranging from blindness to insanity. These scary false beliefs cast a dark, threatening shadow over a natural human urge, causing deep-seated people who tried to look at their bodies were filled with fear and guilt. The act was not, it was merely discouraged. It was portrayed as a dangerous slide into moral decay. And such harmful views didn't just limit people's freedom, they also caused physical harm. They inflicted terrible damage on people's minds, forcing them to live in constant fear of the consequences of their private actions. The burden of spiritual and physical damage is insurmountable. A lot of people lost their freedom because they felt guilty and had to constantly adapt to harsh social norms, a simple natural right to understand and accept their sexuality. This historical, the background, illustrates the rapid evolution of our thinking, underscoring its significance, shedding light on facts that were hidden by fear and ignorance. But let's come back to the present and face the harsh truth about what we really know about masturbation. It's especially beneficial for guys who are desperately trying to break free from the grip of insomnia. Masturbation can help you fall asleep, which seems like a safe idea. The French Institute of Health and Medical Research came up with a stunning way to end those painful sleepless nights. The male brain permanently turns off sexual drive after an orgasm, according to research. The cerebral cortex is where our conscious thinking, reasoning, and awareness come from, down once the peak is reached. This deep shutdown doesn't just end the desire to be sexual. It deeply relaxes you, making it easier to fall asleep, to wrap around a tired mind. So many guys find themselves drifting into, after experiencing a sexual release, they fell asleep, believing they had discovered a solution to their insomnia. However, beneath this surface, in peace lies a troubling truth. What is the real cost of this seemingly peaceful situation? What type of insidious issue is poised to exploit a seemingly innocent act, snare the unaware? The truth is that hidden in one of its supposed benefits is a sneaky trap, a quiet. This station's frequent viewers face an enemy who could destroy their mental and emotional health. You may already be aware of the significance of what I'm about to say. Masturbation triggers a powerful dopamine surge. The brain contains a neurotransmitter known as the pleasure hormone, produces a strong euphoric state, a happy escape that can become completely. The allure of this feeling can be such that it pulls you back repeatedly, creating a craving, that short-lived high. But here's the catch. Every time you indulge, your the receptors become a little less sensitive, so they need more stimulation to get the same amount of pleasure. A vicious loop can transform into an unbreakable addiction, binding you to actions that take over your life. Masturbation can help you sleep and change your ideas and actions, can hide greater problems that need to be fixed right away. It can become a crutch, stopping you from dealing with the real reasons behind your insomnia, whether they are stress, worry, or other emotional issues. Instead of searching for more effective, long-lasting solutions to your problems, if you find yourself in a pattern that diminishes your sense of control and self-worth, it's not a problem. Addiction impacts your quality of life in subtle but significant ways, not just the risk. This habit can infiltrate your daily life and deplete your energy. This can lower your motivation and make it difficult to think clearly. It's about giving in to your wants and losing sight of your goals. You have hopes, dreams, and the full, joyful life you deserve. So what's wrong? The problem is that what looks like an effortless natural cure is actually a scam, trap. It's a secret trap that can lead you down a path of dependence, anger, and deep-seated being unhappy is something that keeps you from finding true inner peace, real happiness, and fulfillment. You might be feeling uneasy and wondering why an innocent act occurred. You're not alone if this talk makes you feel empty or torn. Examining the complexity of our desires and their profound impact on us reveals the essence of humanity. Have on our lives, stay with me as we try to figure this web out. We'll shed light on the hidden effects, provide ourselves with more information, and explore ways for real happiness and self-control. Remember that becoming aware is the first step. By facing these problems head-on, we're taking a brave step toward a future with more freedom. Dopamine levels rise when you masturbate, which makes you feel positive and gives your life meaning. This chemical is a neurotransmitter that is at the heart of our joy and reward systems. The cascade immerses us in a serene calm that lasts for a short time, which incredibly improves our mood. We can get away from the constant grip of stress and feel that great payoff that can make us feel almost this dopamine-fueled euphoria is tempting. And while it seems safe, this allure can become a dangerous trap, trapping people in a loop that can be difficult to break. When pleasure becomes too tempting, a normal act changes. What starts out as a simple way to relax can turn into an uncontrollable urge. The diagnosis has turned into an all-consuming obsession that grips the mind viscerally. The DSM-5, or Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, does not accept the hypersexuality disease, and the compulsive nature of excessive masturbation share many similarities. There are a lot of disturbing similarities to the behaviors seen in people with obsessive-compulsive disorders. This relentless chase of obtaining what you desire can negatively impact your mental well-being, having terrible effects on their family and personal relationships. If you are still watching this video, and if you think these lessons were helpful, please leave a comment below to let me know you're still here with me. Your desires control you, leaving you helpless as your self-control and actions spiral out of control. When you start hurting the people you care about, the mental pain can be too much to handle. Shame and feeling alone can hit you like waves, leaving you feeling this isn't just a personal battle. It's a quiet destroyer that sends shockwaves through the world. Families are breaking trust and tearing apart the very threads that hold relationships together. The stakes are high, and this addiction can lead to emotional damage that manifests as anxiety. Family ties may weaken because of sadness and a deep-seated feeling of not being worthy. Under the stress of secret and betrayal that causes fights and estrangement, or even the breakdown of marriages and partnerships shows the mental trap. Reach into every part of a person's life and cast long shadows over to find happiness and fulfillment. It's important to understand that this circle isn't a sign of moral or intellectual weakness, failure, but rather a complicated mix of mental and biological factors. This can weaken even the strongest individuals. The path to addiction is often paved with, there is a deep-seated yearning for solace and escape, yet it remains unnoticed and unaddressed. Recognizing the severity of a situation can cause significant distress and result in unfixable consequences. Identifying the hidden threats is the first step toward regaining control of this problem. In our search for happiness, we give ourselves the power to break free from the chains of compulsive behavior. It's a call to face these problems, face these issues head-on, seek assistance, and strive to lead a life devoid of happiness and satisfaction. Drug addicts, and you find yourself in a lot of cases where you are being completely unable to control your urges and falling into in this state, You find yourself engrossed in your own thoughts and unable to let go of desires that will consume you. This lack of self-mastery weakens willpower and erodes your identity, leaving you helpless. When you give up, your uncontrollable cravings transform you into a puppet, to the unstable extremes of obsessive urges that won't let go. When your hunger won't go away, despair makes you look for ever more extreme ways to satisfy it. Risky relationships with prostitutes can put you in physical and mental danger never thought you'd have to deal with. Maybe you have had brief encounters with several partners in search of a hollow. We explored the concept of fleeting happiness that dissipates swiftly. As we previously discussed, excessive pornography usage can lead to a significant loss of hours or even days. A virtual world that only provides fleeting pleasure and long-lasting emptiness is dangerous. Dopamine-filled brains force you to follow certain paths in their never-ending search for that first feeling of euphoria. Overwhelmed by the chemical attack, he desperately seeks methods to replicate, boost the short-lived happiness you've already felt. Pay close attention to this dangerous cycle. It's a sneaky enemy that it feeds on your ignorance. The masturbation addiction isn't just a sign of weak will or moral failing. Your brain's complex chemistry deeply roots it. Every action generates a ripple effect. Dopamine is the primary neurotransmitter responsible for initially sending pleasure messages to your brain. As your brain adjusts to these high levels, this feels amazing, like a blissful escape from worry and real life. The body begins to develop a tolerance to certain amounts of chemicals. The optimal dose for each individual ends longer be enough. Your brain wants more and more dopamine. Even at his relentless pursuit is only a shadow of the original feeling. It leads you down a dark road where you have to searching for novel and potent stimulants. You're constantly anticipating the upcoming event. If you're unable to break a cycle, you have the opportunity to treat yourself, become brimming with these strong urges, each one stronger than the. Eventually, this cycle of overeating will reach a frightening and exaggerated level. At this point, your brain starts to shut down in a desperate attempt to protect itself from the huge amount of dopamine. Shutting down or blocking dopamine receptors is a way to protect yourself, like closing your eyes. Doors to stop flooding, but this biological safety measure has a high mental cost. Even though it works, you no longer experience the same level of pleasure from an action that once brought you a wonderful deal. The emptiness is deep. Surprisingly, this loss of pleasure doesn't make you feel better. Instead, makes your anger and hopelessness worse. You may feel more irritated and restless than ever, stuck in a body that, when you no longer react to the actions you thought you needed, the feeling of loss can be extremely painful. Of the pleasure you used to feel, this can make you fall deeper into cycles of obsessive behavior as you desperately try to get back that lost feeling, which keeps you hooked on drugs. The mental toll is huge. You may feel shame, guilt, and self-loathing, which can lower your self-esteem and make it challenging to see clearly. If you distance yourself from those you care about, isolating yourself in your battle, it could negatively impact how people perceive you and your relationships. The things and interests that once brought you joy gradually fade into the background, overtaken by an all-consuming obsession that doesn't really give them anything. Understanding this destructive trend will help you realize that you're in a biochemical trap rather than a moral one. If you want to get your life back, failing can be the first step. It's a call to find your inner strength. If you need help, start your journey toward healing and self-mastery. Remember that you're not the only one going through this. Fight and breaking free is not only possible, it's also within your power. Masturbating excessively to satisfy a never-ending desire for joy can lead to a chain of desperate actions. Someone who smokes cigarettes and can't give them up. Someone who eats chocolate until they get sick. Or alcoholic who floods their body with booze to escape a painful reality. These actions aren't just harmful habits. They're obsessive-compulsive disorders that hold people in a vice-like grip. They conceal their freedom and independence, symbolizing a desperate pursuit of fleeting pleasure that never materializes. Real fills the hole and leaves behind a trail of emptiness, guilt, and deep sadness. Feeling hopeless at this crucial moment, you might ask yourself, what does Stoicism have to do with any of this? Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and other Stoic thinkers. Epictetus was a prominent figure renowned for his exceptional self-control. They didn't shy away from looking at the ideas of pleasure and lust from a unique and deep point of view. They avoid confronting the raw and turbulent forces of human desire. Instead, they delve deeply into the core. If you want to understand and control your feelings, these lessons will help, shedding light on a way to regain control over the strong wants that are threatening to take over our lives, from the enlightening world of Epicurus to the private and thoughtful thoughts of Seneca. These thinkers looked into the deepest parts of people's emotions, leaving a memory that continues to captivate, and they continue to inspire us. Understanding that unbridled desires can lead to a life fraught with difficulties and internal strife, they spent their whole lives trying to figure out how the human mind works. Their explorations weren't just "these are not academic thoughts," but rather practical advice on how to lead a balanced, good, and truly satisfying life. When we look at their wisdom, we can gain life-changing ideas that can help the Stoics teach us that, even though we can't always control our actions, we can learn how to deal with them. When external events occur, we have the power to choose our response and course of action. Emphasize that developing inner strength and resilience, as well as seeking knowledge, are the most important things for them. Stoics teach us to rise above the present moment by asking us to think deeply about our own lives. They tell us to learn how to control ourselves so that we can avoid the pleasures that so often trap us. We should use our willpower to ensure that our actions align with our most important values. By following these rules, we can break free from addiction and live a life full of real happiness, inner peace, and deep value. Just like we stand at this pivotal point and resist the powerful currents of desire, let us hearing the Stoics' ideas can help you understand philosophy and get things done. Help us take our lives back from compulsive behaviors. By following their advice, we embark on a journey to discover more about ourselves, gain confidence, and find a new sense of meaning. Stoic thinkers thought that masturbation was not a way to get out from under the shadow of addiction and into the bright light of true freedom. This is not a means of achieving fleeting sexual gratification, but rather a rigorous assessment of an individual's ability. Those who exercise self-control and mastery over their desires are able to discern themselves. Instead of viewing challenges as opportunities to discover your limits, view them as obstacles you must overcome to achieve inner peace and true freedom in their deep thought, which is the taking over of worldly emotions and sensual pleasures, were a monumental achievement that raised the human spirit and let people relax. Live in peace with moral sense and virtue. If you're still watching this video and think these lessons are helpful, please leave a note. Seneca, one of the most important writers, wrote below to let me know that you are still here with me. According to some, giving in to base desires weakens the mind and transforms the soul. I believe that true strength stems from the ability to resist temptation and control your emotions. By doing this, a person could achieve an unshakable state of peace and willpower. Marcus Aurelius described similar situations in his private reflections. He thought a lot about how temporary physical pleasures are and told himself and others to look beyond the present. Embrace joy, concentrate on cultivating moral qualities, and fulfill your responsibilities towards him. Giving in to too many wants was taking my attention away from the more important things in life. I'm not Stoic, but the Epicurean scholar Epicurus said very wisely that it is not. There were nights of excessive pleasure, but it's the consistent practice of self-control that makes a successful person. He was a good guy who taught that the best kind of pleasure comes from not being in pain and having He thinks that the never-ending search for physical pleasure leads to a peaceful mind. This enlightening journey leads not to happiness, but to trouble and discontent in this case. The ability to feel good while fully understanding and limiting it signifies a higher level of self-awareness and understanding. Enlightenment. We must stop being slaves to our endless wants and instead become their unwavering masters. Guide them with knowledge and good sense. Cynical. His timeless philosophical ideas help us remember that self-mastery doesn't mean denying who we are as people. The Stoics think that true freedom is not about getting rid of problems, but about using our inner strength to live a positive life. This comes from a disciplined mind that can handle the rough seas of feeling without being overwhelmed by them. We are tempted by the waves of temptation, but by practicing self-control, we are able to have the power to break the chains that hold us back from doing things that aren't healthy. Wisdom tells us to resist the allure of instant gratification and instead aim for a life full of meaning. They ask us to think seriously about our own lives by internalizing these ideas of virtue and lasting fulfillment. By learning strong lessons, we give ourselves the tools to fight the urges that could throw our plans off track. Through our lives, we learn that it's not about denying ourselves joy, but about building a stronger, more lasting one. If we want to be happy, the Stoics say we should live in harmony with our true nature and core beliefs. We are masters of our own lives, feeling the deep freedom that comes from being in charge of our own lives. Adopting this mindset is a journey that changes you and is a brave step. It's a call to bring out our inner power so we can take our lives back from the grip of compulsive behaviors, plunge into the desire to live honestly, and to seek a way that leads to real happiness and lasting peace. Reflecting on masturbation goes beyond simple ideas of repression and into the deepest parts of Stoic thought. A stubborn refusal to accept it transforms into a passionate search for deep understanding and unmatched self-mastery. It is a passionate call to rise above the fleeting allure of instant satisfaction, urges us to control and direct the turbulent currents of our feelings towards an enlightening odyssey. This life-changing journey of conscious self-exposure tells us not to fight our natural urges, but to dive deeper into them. Without fear, dive into them, knowing, accepting, and fully embracing. From the point of view of the sought, everything we do is based on our deepest desires to be wise and gracious. Every decision has an effect on everything else. It is not a single event, but a note in the universe's grand orchestra. The universe's delicate structure affects not only our fate, but also the balance of the universe. When we give in to our strongest and wildest wishes, the natural order begins. As with unchecked power, we risk cutting off the spiritual link with nature that the Stoics talked about. Hold the highest regard. When we give in to these strong urges, we are becoming trapped in the suffocating chains of our emotions from overseas, beings into prisoners. Chained by desire, we drift aimlessly away from the peaceful beaches of inner peace. The rough seas of unquenchable desire. This surrender not only breaks our inner peace, but also causes we give up the noble idea of global harmony that the Stoics work so hard to protect. Stoic ideas are based on knowledge, courage, justice, and moderation. Let's give in to the chaos of unchecked urges and stray from the road to enlightenment that was once clear. It gets harder to see how to live by nature's calm and logical rhythm. The dark veil of unending desire obscures the Stoic call. No vague call to give up, but to improve. This is a passionate call to reclaim our lives, innate power to bravely steer our souls and find our way through the complicated maze of our wants with careful thought, by developing unshakable self-discipline, and by being deeply aware of our inner desires. We can align ourselves with the ideals of Stoicism and bring back harmony. In our connection with the universe, we come out not as suppressed wishes, but as enlightened beings who have changed, turning their wild urges into a force for growth and peace for everyone. When we choose this road, we stop being passive participants in our own lives and start being conscious. We shape our future by transforming fleeting feelings of physical happiness into enduring pillars, inner strength and peace. The road is challenging and requires constant honesty and bravery, but it pays off. With the priceless gift of real self-sovereignty, we find the peaceful center of our being again and stand in tithe. Stoic view of life is characterized by harmony with nature. The compulsion to masturbate is lived with deep purpose and unwavering peace, can cause an intense storm that is so strong that it blasts through our very core. Suffocating guilt, corrosive shame, and gnawing unhappiness are the shadows that follow us around all the time. Emotional ions are like chains that cling to us, ruining every quiet moment. Our sense of self-worth gets stuck in a loop where short-term physical relief is quickly replaced by more problems. We feel like we're drifting because of deeper, more intense inner turmoil. We found ourselves in a rough sea, desperately seeking comfort but finding none. As I fell deeper into depression in the midst of this inner chaos, the timeless wisdom of the Socratic ideas shined like a beacon of hope, leading us to the peaceful beaches of self-mastery and inner peace they teach, reminding us that the way to true freedom is not to hide our feelings, but to be aware of them. We are instructed to exercise control through deep self-reflection and steadfast self-discipline. The turbulent currents within us, the Stoics, implore us to gaze directly into the mirror of our minds. Being brave in facing our inner feelings can help us figure out where our wants come from and how they control us. As we begin to unravel the intricate web of our inner battles, we learn how to transform the raw, overwhelming energy and turn our urges into positive forces that help us instead of hurting us. Stoics tell us not to look for the temporary comfort of outside pleasures, but for the lasting peace of serenity that comes from being in tune with our true selves. They tell us that real happiness doesn't come from constantly seeking happiness, but with the good intention of making our lives more moral and simple. Embracing the Stoic path is a journey that changes us deeply. It transforms us from emotional entrapment to a state of liberation. We let go of the heavy weights of guilt and shame that are shaping our lives. When we become self-aware and accept ourselves, we realize that our worth is not determined by what other people think of us. Our problems make us weaker, but our strength and determination to grow make us stronger. By consistently practicing self-control and living in the present moment, we take back control of our thoughts, hearts. The Stoics teach us that real happiness comes from inside, peace of mind that you can control yourself, and the happiness that comes from doing good things. They teach us to see the deep beauty in everyday things so that we can be content in the present and live. We can maintain harmony with nature by adhering to our core values, which include justice, wisdom, courage, and we can cultivate an inner peace with temperance that is impervious to external events. As we strive to master ourselves, we undergo brief periods of physical transformation, turning happiness and contentment into long-lasting sources of inner strength and peace. We no longer try to get away from compulsions, but find power in mindful choice. The emotional whirlwind that once swept us away has now transformed into a gentle breeze, serving as a reminder of the storms we've endured. The Stoic view of calm allows us to understand that the true source of happiness is not found in the chains of nor in the freedom of uncontrolled wants, but in the freedom of a disciplined good life, a life where it's because we are fully present, deeply connected, and profoundly at peace with ourselves. If you are still watching this movie, if you think these lessons were helpful, please let me know in the comments below. Still with me? Allow me to tell you a deeply moving and personal story of inspiration that sheds light on the Stoic theory has the power to change people. I once encountered an individual whose soul endured torment. The constant grip of obsessive masturbation on each act was a desperate attempt to find short-term safety and comfort, pleasure, a short break from the stresses of everyday life. But in the quiet hours after each indulgence, they had to deal with a harsh emotional reality. During the storm, waves of crippling guilt swept over them, along with shadows of stifling shame. A deep sense of unhappiness settled in their hearts. Like a thick fog, it felt like they were stuck in a never-ending loop of self-harm and longing for they sought freedom, unaware of the tightening of their bonds. In the middle of all this inner strife, a glimmer of hope appeared by chance. I came across the timeless wisdom of Stoic beliefs, drawn by an unknown force to this ancient practice. They began to delve into the most profound aspects of philosophy. The Stoics discussed the concept of self-control. There is unlimited strength in self-control and serene peace that comes from getting your life in order. These lessons resonated deeply with their good morals. Something long dormant, a strong desire to take back their life from the grasp of unchecked desire, enveloped the tough person. The road wasn't simple or easy. It required constant honesty and giving up. Through deep reflection and a brave decision to face the most basic parts of their wants and feelings, to peel back the layers of their compulsions in order to get to the bottom of their urges instead of just by resisting them. Every moment of temptation turned into a chance to make a mindful choice and exercise the strength of their will, overcame the fleeting desires of their body. Through focused practice, they had a profound understanding of themselves, and regular practices of meditation and reflection helped them maintain their roundedness. They learned to use the intense energy that once lit them up in the present and gave them a greater sense of purpose, drove them to pursue things that fed their souls, like songwriting and deep connections with other people. Others saw the act as a sign of their captivity and turned it into a memory of their ability to change, led to an amazing transformation over time. They stopped looking for comfort in short-term pleasures and instead found real happiness in being free of their chains of shame and guilt that had held them back fell away. And in its place came a bright sense of having inner peace, and being themselves made them stand stronger, breathe deeper, and enjoy life more. With renewed vigor and clarity, free from the chains of short-term wants, they became living examples of how important it is to follow one's deepest ideals and principles. This story serves as a stark reminder that true happiness at always does not stem from giving up on fleeting desires, but when we accept the temporary, we abandon our values, we lose sight of the long-lasting values that give our lives meaning and direction when we focus on getting what we want right away. Compulsive behaviors, such as continuous masturbation, can distract us from our good intentions and lead to Socrates taught us that happiness doesn't come from things we do, but from being healthy and at peace with ourselves. Outside factors, but a state we nurture inside ourselves that comes from acting in harmony with our highest, by adhering to the principles of wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. With these ideals, we establish a much more solid foundation for our lives. As the sands of desire shift, we develop resilience to navigate life's challenges. I am discovering security and happiness that outside pleasures can't give. This path to self-mastery is both challenging and extraordinarily satisfying. Needs us to be honest with ourselves, to admit our flaws without judging them, and to make a promise to constant growth. But by choosing this road, we open up a world of endless possibilities that lies inside each of us. We learn that we are not useless victims of our wants, but strong agents who can, setting the course of our lives. My aunt's story is not just one of, it is not only a triumph, but also a message of hope for everyone. It speaks to the struggles that many people go through alone and serves as a lighthouse. It provides a beacon of light for individuals seeking to break free from cycles of compulsion. No matter how difficult our struggles may be, run, because a recovery is always possible. When we live in a way that is true to our deepest beliefs and values, we find fulfillment, inner harmony, the deep peace that comes from self-control, and the lasting joy of a life are all places where you can find it. By exploring our inner selves and learning from concepts such as Stoicism, we can transcend letting go of our current wants and stepping into the freedom of a good and meaningful life. This story should make you think about your journey, look inside yourself for wisdom, and follow the road that leads to true happiness. Long-lasting happiness. When we practice meditation and awareness, we change ourselves in ways that make us happier. Deep mental peace is a holy place, where the temptations that once controlled us lose their strong hold. In this mental safe space, we build the focus and inner strength we need to say no to the tempting whispers of force. These practices aren't just tools. They're lifelines that keep us firmly in the present moment and let us. If we can confront our deepest feelings with courage and grace, the endless cycle of compulsion transforms into a towering force. They obstruct our mental tranquility, engulf us in grief, and draw us away from the tranquility. Self-control and balance bring peace. We experience a sense of being swept away and must distance ourselves from the tranquility. Along the beaches of our true selves, we can't get to the calm waters where our spirits can rest and recharge. My dear friend, I implore you to pause and reflect deeply on the path you are currently on. What are you really doing with this? How much do you value the precious gift of life? Do you think that sitting at home alone, looking at those fleeting pictures on a screen, and you can become a confident and successful person by finding short-term pleasure with your own hands, right? I firmly believe that investing your valuable time and energy on these insignificant tasks will lead to meaningful outcomes. If you want to make connections, will it bring women to you? If you're a woman, will it bring guys to you? The stark truth is that it can't and won't. These trends and distractions may provide a brief respite, but ultimately, they fade away. You feel even more empty, which lowers your self-esteem and pulls you away from real relationships. Every time you spend time on these pursuits, you're not moving toward the goals you want to reach. It's like putting water into a crack to get growth, fulfillment, and real happiness. No matter how much you spend, nothing tangible comes back. Instead of building the foundations of faith in your ability to succeed, you're erecting barriers around yourself that isolate you and exacerbate your loneliness. Discontentment arises from the fact that your time and energy are limited and important, are the building blocks of the life you want to live. So don't waste them on things that won't last. Value is akin to allowing your idea to slip through your fingers like tiny grains of sand. Imagine the significant transformation that would occur. That's waiting for you if you choose to change your mind and picture yourself leaving the darkness of being alone. Self-indulgence and the bright light of purposeful life don't give birth to confidence. They grew from hidden places, but they did so by confronting challenges, embracing personal development, and actively participating with the world around you. You'll be more successful if you invest in yourself, develop your skills, and pursue your goals. Passions and creating connections that inspire and uplift people are important considerations. The tapestry of events that life has to offer extends beyond those screens. There are numerous opportunities in the world to learn, grow, and connect with others on a deeply human level. When you break out of the cycle of compulsion, you can have real conversations and build connections. Being seen and loved for who you are is possible with people who respect and care about the same things. Really, they aren't hidden behind a mask of short-term pleasures. So I ask you, is this the path to the life you desire? Or is it time to reclaim your own? You have the power to focus your time and energy on things that align with your greatest goals. The path to taking one brave step away from what is holding you back can lead to confidence, success, and important relationships. Take a step back and do the things that help you feel calm and aware of yourself. Meditation and mindfulness help you become aware of your emotions. Instead, Instead of running away from them, this will help you build strength and peace of mind, which will not only help you fight back. Despite temptations, they also provide you with the resilience and elegance to manage life's challenges. Remember that true attraction be success, confidence, or important relationships come from inside it. You bring honesty, desire, and happiness into your own life by choosing self-control. When you choose moderation over short-lived indulgence, you put yourself on a road that leads to lasting happiness and fulfillment. Take advantage of this chance to make a big change. Shift your attention to investing in, embrace your personal development, and confidently lead the life that fulfills your destiny. You have the power to change your world. When you open it, you'll see how the world transforms and responds as we approach. At the end of this in-depth look at the Stoic path to self-mastery and inner peace, take a moment to think about what you've learned. What did you find most intriguing about the ideas we shared today? How has this discussion about overcoming compulsive behaviors affected you? Practicing mindfulness and living in line with your core values changed the way you saw things. Please share an important thing you learned from this movie and how you plan to use it in the comments section below. Include it in your daily life. Your experiences and promises will not only inspire others, but they will also strengthen you. This is the path to enduring happiness and mental tranquility. If you liked this video, please leave a comment below. Also, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube station. By doing these things, you assist us in achieving our goal. Share knowledge and help people on their way to a healthy and happy life. We appreciate your participation in our community, group, and remember that real happiness is just around the corner. You can accept yourself by making a conscious choice and being very strict with yourself. Stay strong, remember to be mindful, and keep working towards the peaceful life you deserve.